Tonight is our annual recovery celebration for Mental Health Awareness Month, and the importance of this is that every year we gather in Busboys and Poets as a community, and we hear the stories of recovery of people who have gone through serious mental illness or substance use disorder and have gone through struggles, personal challenges, but also accomplishments. And it's an expression of their journey. We hear stories, we hear poems, we hear songs, and it's really joyful and inspiring to know that people who have experienced serious mental illness or substance use can reflect and share with the community how they have been on their road to recovery and what they have experienced and how they have grown to address their personal challenges.
Hello. Hi, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Shook-Talley, and I am the Wellness and Recovery Manager at the Behavioral Healthcare Division. On behalf of the Behavioral Healthcare Division and the Department of Human Services, along with Peers Helping Peers in Recovery, I would like to welcome you all to this very special program as we celebrate National Recovery Month. Thanks for being here. So now I'd like to have our Director of Human Services, Anita Friedman, come up to say a few words.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name's Anita Friedman. I'm the Director of the Department of Human Services. As usual, it's wonderful to see everybody here. This is one of my favorite nights of the year because we get to hear some very personal journeys, some very personal stories, poems, sometimes even songs from people who have been challenged by serious mental illness or substance use disorder. And we know that in the world today, there are so many challenges, and there's a lot of stigma and influence in our community that tends to make us think that people who live with serious mental illness, there's something terribly wrong. When we know, in fact, that it's much more common and that our journeys are much more of what is the common experience of a lot of people living in this world. And tonight is a hopeful night, a night where we hear stories of recovery, where we celebrate that people have overcome and continue to work to overcome much pain, much adversity, but have found inspiration, hope, dignity, life, joy, happiness along the way. And we celebrate that. We celebrate those experiences. I want to thank Elizabeth Shook, who is our recovery manager and organizes this very inspirational evening. And I'd like to thank all the invited guests, but I'd like to thank this community for continuing to have this most incredible night of the year. We're about to hear from one of our elected officials, who is a tremendous leader in our community. Let's see which one. I'd like to call up Mr. Christian Dorsey. Okay. Now, Mr. Dorsey here knows that I tend to speak my opinions. No. But I just want to say how much admiration I have for Mr. Dorsey and for Miss Crystal, who's here in the room, because these are two, you know, we tend to think of politicians and we go, politicians, you know, and we hear all this stuff. These are not your ordinary politicians, okay? These are Arlingtonians who have risen to the very high responsibility of being our county board, which is a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous amount of work. And they take it so seriously, and they have so many big challenges on their shoulders, and they lead us towards a better Arlington, you know? And I was so delighted, I'll just put a plug in, I'm sorry, that this past weekend, the county board voted 5-0 to adopt an equity resolution for Arlington. With Mr. Dorsey at the lead, which means we will be saying and looking and analyzing and committing that every person in Arlington matters, and we will start with where they're at and move from there with the resources they need to live their best lives. So here you go, Mr. Dorsey.
Thank you so much. Oh, Anita, that's great. It's very great to be here this evening. I'd like to thank Katie Crystal for being the board member most involved with putting on this event. And it's great to see Delegate Patrick Hope from the 47th District here, as well as many people that I've had an opportunity to work with and will continue to work with on various community issues. This is a really special event within a very special month. You all know that in our country we still have a problem. Even though we have millions of people who have transformed their lives through recovery, our country has not yet developed a maturity to actually effectively deal with people who have mental and substance use disorders. At the best end, people tend to just not want to think about it. They want to avoid it. And then at the worst, there is a stigma where people are ostracized or made to be considered less than, instead of our country recognizing what is truly before them, that people who have been through the depths of despair, who are now walking a path of hope and happiness and wellness, these are people who need to be celebrated. This needs not to be something that we keep behind closed doors or kept hush-hush. This should actually be lifted up and celebrated as we are doing tonight, because it is a triumph of the human spirit with so many obstacles that are placed before people who seek the resources and seek the assistance in engaging in a life of recovery. It is a triumph of the human spirit that we ought to celebrate. So I'm very happy that we have National Recovery Month, but I hope it leads to a place where we are celebrating people who are traveling this journey each and every day, because they are worthy of absolutely no less. Now, certainly this month, we can rededicate our efforts to making sure that we increase community awareness, that we not only get people more educated so that they're not just going to simply look away or, at worst, stigmatize people who are going through recovery, but that they can be better allies in assisting friends and family members and other neighbors in the community who want to travel along that road. This month, it's important for us to actually hear the stories of people who are going through recovery, to get the inspiration necessary, whether we need it in our own lives or we can connect that source of inspiration to people that we know and love. So I am very thankful for everyone who is out here tonight, who will share their testimony, who will share their stories and inspire us. I'm very thankful for Arlington's Behavioral Health Division for committing itself so earnestly to this work and making sure this is a goal that is never ever put on the back burner, but it's front and center in what we prioritize in making Arlington a great community. And speaking of equity, since you brought it up, Ms. Friedman, one of the reasons why this was so important to me and my colleagues like Katie Crystal is that we want to actually make sure each, and I mean that, each and every Arlingtonian is not just considered someone who matters in rhetoric, but actually matters in the things that we do. So when we think about the many Arlingtonians who are traveling on the road to recovery, we want to be active agents of helping you through that, helping you continue on that journey so that you can achieve the success, health, and happiness that you so very well deserve. So thank you very much. I am happy to actually turn the mic over to whom I do not know, all right? I'm going to turn the mic back over to you, and I can't wait to hear some inspirational stories this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dorsey. It's wonderful to have representation from the county board at this very important event. The Behavioral Health Care Division at Arlington County provides comprehensive mental health and substance use services to adult residents of Arlington County, which includes case management, therapy, emergency and psychiatric services, and much, much more. Please see the back of your program to access our services, and there are some brochures also back on the table. As you came in, you may have been greeted by some of the staff from one of our contractors, who is our partnering organization for this program, which is Arlington's Peer Recovery Center. Arlington Peers Helping Peers in Recovery is a safe, stigma-free place for those experiencing mental illness, addiction, and homelessness. The center is run by peers, or people who have lived experience with mental health or substance use disorders. The center helps people overcome challenges in a welcoming, supportive environment that emphasizes recovery. This service complements the services that the Behavioral Health Care Division provides. There is more information also on the back table about their program. When we speak of recovery in terms of mental health and addiction, we hear different meanings, and I often hear that it's not entirely clear. What we do know is that recovery is different for everyone, and we are all on our own journey. We also know that it's not a linear process. But there is a definition that's widely used that's been accepted from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, which is SAMHSA. And it states that recovery is a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. Reaching our full potential is what many of us are striving for. Those of us who deal with mental health and addiction issues are no different than those without in terms of what we want out of life. Each year, Recovery Month invites individuals in recovery to share their personal stories and successes in order to encourage others. This can help break down the barriers that have led to so much stigma and discrimination for too many years. Tonight is an attempt to diminish this and to see people as the individuals they are and not their diagnoses. I do want to make the disclaimer that some of the things you will hear this evening are difficult, but these are people's stories of recovery, and sharing the truth is what makes this so important. Tonight we will hear from individuals who will be sharing their stories and their talent. We have some really amazing people here who are courageous enough to step up and speak out about their recovery in order to help educate the community, as well as to help people understand that recovery is definitely obtainable. So, to start this evening off, we'll have a short video from Katerina. Kat has been a part of the ACT unit, which is the Addictions Corrections and Treatment Unit in the Arlington County Detention Center. She has almost completed a 9-month treatment program for adults who suffer from addiction. It is meant to provide holistic and comprehensive treatment to each individual. While in this program, the clients work on changing themselves from the inside out and rebuilding their lives in order to re-enter society as a healthy, sober person. Kat has a love for artistic expression and has utilized her talents to enhance her recovery. She will share part of her recovery journey and her poem titled Pick Up Sticks.
My name is Katerina Bell, and I am 24 years old. I'm a recovering addict and have struggled with addiction for half of my life. Currently, I am incarcerated where I've been working through a 9-month program. As of today, I have 434 days clean. I gave everything away for my addiction. I chose drugs over my family and friends. I forgot all of my ambitions and dreams. I became the kind of person that I never wanted to be. But at the time, I thought that the drugs made me better, stronger, and wiser. I completely lost touch with myself and who I am. This past year, I was spent trying to figure out who I am. Am I the helpless little girl I was before my addiction, or am I the hopeless shell of a person that I became during my addiction? The truth is, I am neither of those. I believe that through all my experiences and mistakes, I have changed, but this time I choose to change for the better. My past, my traumas, my addiction will not define me as a person. I may have been through some tough things and have done some terrible things, but I can't change that. I can, however, take all of it and make it work for me. I can honestly say now that I never want to go back to that way of life, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the life that I want for myself. My journey to recovery has not been an easy one. It took a lot for me to get here, and I know that I still have a lot of hard work ahead of me. What is different now is that I feel that I am ready and strong enough to get my life back on track. I worked so hard to derail my life, now I need to work twice as hard to fix it. And that I am willing to do. This time I won't take the easy way out. So poetry is one of the ways that I express myself, and this is one of the poems that I've written. It's called Pick Up Sticks. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4, waiting to walk out the door so I can go and use some more. 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8, doesn't matter what's at stake, there's nothing here but pain and heartache. 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, 12, time to put the book of the past back on the shelf and kiss all my demons farewell. 1 year now and I'm still here, but gone are all my fears. It took me so long to listen because you and I were so smitten. We made a lot of people cry, many of them thought that I'd die, and boy did I try. This is the hardest thing I've known ever since you've shown in my how you have grown. You've brought me to this place where I couldn't even stand to look at my face. 2 years now and I'm starting to see more clear even through the blood, sweat, and tears. I like the person that I have come to be. Ask me now and I'll tell you what I see. Now I realize all that I have overcome. How was I ever so dumb? Running from things that hurt me until I was begging for mercy. Now when you see my stance, you will know this isn't the same song and dance, for this is my second chance. Before I took a nosedive, I wasn't really alive. I'm not sure how I even survived. Now I'm thankful for every breath I take, and the smile on my face will never be fake.
Victoria is now going to share about the things that she
Hello,
does to
everyone. My name
advance
is
her
Victoria.
recovery.
Thank you very much. I'm here today to tell you things I do to stay in recovery from my mental illness. I'm gonna tell you a little background. At the age of 6, I would have thoughts in my mind, strange thoughts. I have dreams, but I never told anyone about it. I just blend in with the rest of the children. Mental illness is a serious disease, but it's invisible. No one knew what I was going through. At the age of 10 to 15, I was physically and mentally abused. At the time, I did not know that this was wrong, that people are not supposed to do things like that to you. By the time I was old enough to understand that things like that don't happen, I hated myself. I never wanted anything good to happen to me. Anything good that happened, I would sabotage it. I would become very depressed because the only thing that satisfied me was pain. I would always go and find wherever the pain was, because that was the only thing that could make me happy. I was diagnosed with major depression, schizoaffective disorder. I would have highs and lows. I would have really bad nightmares. The nightmares were so bad that sometimes the nightmares seem like it's real, and sometimes the real life seemed like it's a nightmare. I would get very confused. Excuse me. So I just wanted nothing to go right in my life. When I was diagnosed, and then around 13 years ago, I started art therapy. I used to go every day, and I used to make necklace, earrings, bracelets, jewelry, and things like that. But we ran out of supplies, so the therapist was like, you have to do something. And she said, gave me a paintbrush and paints and canvases. And I really didn't want to do it, but she was a nice lady and everything, so I just, I just decided to do it. And she told me to just put what I feel on the paper, about my dreams, make pictures. So I used to see these, I call them shadow figures in my dreams. And this is one of the first pictures that I ever did. I did a lot of these kind of pictures. I don't do them anymore. The first picture that I did, someone bought it for $250, and thank you. So I've been doing artwork. The artwork helps my recovery, so when I have dreams, if it's late at night, I can get up and paint. The painting calms me down. It keeps me from being a little anxious, paranoid. Other things that I do for my recovery, I go to the clubhouse 3 days a week. I'm in art groups and things like that. And I just want to say that mental illness is something no one can really see what you're doing. I have a lot of thoughts in my mind, and the thoughts gets crazy, so I concentrate in thinking about numbers because I love numbers so much. And when I think of the numbers, I have to do puzzle books, math. I can solve hard problems, but when my mind is good and straight, I really can't do that. But I don't know what that means. So I just want to say a lot of people have supported me and helped me through Arlington County. I had the same therapist for, 15 years. And she's been really working with me, and all the people at the clubhouse are amazing, and at Arlington County. And a special lady, Robin, who's always taking me places and making sure I'm okay. And and I get so much support. So I just want to say I got help because I finally didn't want to be like a victim anymore. I wanted to be a survivor, and I just wanted to not feel the pain anymore and have a good life. Thank you.
All right, next Joyce is going to share what she calls Will the Scar Show?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joyce. I'm kind of nervous, but before I read what I'm feeling, I want to say, through this journey, when I decided to surrender and change my life, there were some people who touched me along the way. Miss Valencia, she's no longer with us, and she was the director of RCP, and she would always say, you can do anything you want to do, and that I was on the right track. Sean Bachner would come sit with me in detox and share her story with me. And she gave me hope. My therapist, Laurie, Miss Octavia, people who have touched me since I've been here. The receptionist, when you come into the behavior study, they say, hi, Miss Joyce. They know you by name, you know. Marianne sitting there with her fitness self. she's the only person I know that works at behavior and wear her leggings because she's always working out. Kevin and Tony Mucho, Miss Joanne, Margie. It's been a good journey. And when I was in RCP, we had an opportunity to come. We saw a video of Miss Elizabeth. They showed us a video. And Justine, she's no longer with RPC, and we came and we visited. So I say, I'm gonna make that a goal, make that a vision, to participate and give back, because they say it was truly freely given to you, you give back. And so I made that a goal. Today I have visions, and today I have goals. And my life is it's awesome. It's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to read. And another thing, Katerina talked about dreams. Miss Victoria talked about dreams. And when I was a little girl, I never dreamed that I would grow up to be an addict, that I would have an addiction. That was not my dream. My dream one day was becoming a social worker, a police officer, or airline stewards, or in the Air Force. So how I ended up being with this addiction, wow, life shows up. So I just want to read. If the wound is healing, will the scar show? Who have I become? I have been freed from my obsession with drugs and my compulsion to use, and my life has changed. Who have I really been in the past? I was a person without power or direction. I felt like I had no purpose, no reason for living. So I truly surrendered. I no longer had to fight. I stepped out there and gave it to God. Today I'm willing to work for my recovery, my mental health, such as PTSD, anxiety, bipolar. Today I am committed on learning how to work on the most important relationship in my life. That's God Himself. Today, I know I have a purpose. God has put people in my life to guide me through this. Some will stay and some will go, but they all would have played a part of my journey. Here I stand, a woman who is no longer homeless, who has been clean 26 months and on her job for 2.5 years, who is learning how to be responsible, making decisions, setting boundaries, a person who truly is learning how to love myself on a daily basis, one day at a time. So I ask you, if you are scarred, will the scar show? Thank you.
And now Mitchell is going to share part of his journey titled Coping with Dementia.
Which includes balance issues. Okay. All right. I went to the University of Texas, where I studied English and Russian. Then I came here to this boiling bastion of Beltway bandits that we call DC, and got a degree, soon to be worthless, in Russian and East European Studies, 1989. And then I worked as a translator for many years. Last job was in Siberia, working with an exchange program. Got interested in kids, came back, got another degree in education, a bit more worthwhile, I hope. And I worked in DC public schools for a long time, and then PG, ESL, and then things started going wrong that I couldn't understand. I was having problems with the logistics of teaching. I was a great teacher. I had good lesson plans, like my homesick 6th graders writing to their 5th grade teachers, real letters, not just ones that I mark up with red ink. And it looks as if the teacher had a big problem, personal problem grading it, and then I had problem with homework, assigning it while kids are running out the door in front of a mentor from PG County. Not good. Forgetting to bring it back, losing it, forgetting to post it. Dangerously bad judgment, losing my back of the teacher eyes, coming back from the cafeteria, remembering I didn't assign the kids to bring 10 pennies to class for some lesson, I forget what it was. So I said, no, pick up 10 stones from the ground. Yeah, no. And I'm at 10 times 12 is 120 stones in a 6th grade classroom. But no. Go ahead and laugh if you want. It was fortunate that the principal came by. Definitely no. And I had to go to a mentor with him. I almost lost my job. And then the turnaround principal said, you're not part of our plan anymore. Satisfactory ratings, but you're going to go in the pool, wait until you get the right job. I panicked, took the first elementary ESL job, which was not my pedagogy, it was secondary, my college. And I ended up, the biggest memories was the principal's sort of dry-skinned hands as she kept talking about all the concerns she was having. She eventually drove me out, told me to resign. And all this time I wasn't consulting with my wonderful family, my now guardian, and I was doing it on my own. I ended up homeless for 2 years in Arlington County. And I was well taken care of in the shelter. Then, one day I stumbled and fell into a wall. I almost was lucky I didn't fall. Long suspecting guardian sister said, better get your head checked, Mr. Space Cadet, which was my name all the way back to college for my rampant absent-mindedness. I'm lucky I can't even remember that they called me Space Cadet. And they said, get an MRI. Okay, by eye. And it turns out I have prefrontal lobe dementia. And that means balance issues, memory loss, short-term gone, lack of judgment, as we've seen. So now I have coping strategies. Walk, 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 and learning from the experience of others, like an old Red Guard professor, a Russian professor of mine with scoliosis who walked a lot. I said, why? I walk, I live. And now that's my motto. I walk everywhere. I used to walk everywhere with my family anyway, library, movies. I walked 2 weeks straight to DC from Arlington for the Cherry Blossom Festival. Lost 16 pounds. Took a Target card to ye old Alexandria, brought back a $25 bag of chocolate candy. And that leads, of course, paying attention to my family and guardians, and with the help of the place where I live, working on my pesca vegetarian diet. And that leads to my motto, well, actually the best ever doctor's prescription. Can you tell what that is? I can't read the handwriting. It says, 2 ounces of chocolate for life every day for the antioxidants for your brain condition. Whoa, that's definitely my chocolate lining to life. So, also, my father went to the Hershey School for orphans. We ate chocolate every time, good and bad, after my mom's funeral. And so the motto is, that long before this, no matter how bad things get, right? For example, what was it? Prefrontal lobe dementia. So anyway, if you have a piece of chocolate in your mouth, deliciously, refreshingly, coolingly in your mouth, it can't be as bad as if you don't have a piece of chocolate, coolingly, pleasantly, coolingly, refreshingly, meltingly in your mouth. Okay, I have to do this trick, sorry. And anyway, so that's my motto of life. Stay tuned for Marvel Comics issue number 1. We're Super Dementor Man. Don't clap yet. Where he drives his son crazy by telling the story of some job he had 30 years ago up in South Bering Sea or something on the old Russian ships or something. And then driving his guardian crazy by telling a story of some French girl he met in Europe somewhere 30 years ago. And there's more than one. Just basically a tour of Europe. So anyway, and then finally, issue 3, where I make my older sister proud by carrying on her super vegetarian diet example. And that's all. I thank you for letting me tell you my story from my heart about my prefrontal lobe dementia.
Thank you, Mitchell. Next we have Mary, and she's going to share what she calls the light.
Hello. No, I'm good. Hello, my name is Mary, and I'm a recovering addict. My name is Mary. And I have lived in darkness most of my life. As a child growing up, all I wanted was to be loved, which I felt I never got. As I became older, I started acting out. Didn't care about anything or anyone. I started using and experiencing all types of drugs along with the alcohol. It took me so far into the darkness of hell where I could not escape. I wanted to stay locked up in my own world of darkness. After losing the most important people in my life due to death, which was my father, my mother, my sister, and brother, and my oldest daughter, and also a spouse, my 8 kids to CPS. I had nowhere to go or nowhere to turn. I continued to use crack cocaine. Crack cocaine took me to the bottomless pit of hell. I've tried so many times to find the light to my destiny, but the crack had a hold on me. I became a person I did not want to become. I was so lonely, angry, guilty, that I wanted to lay my life down and die. Until one night I fell to my knees and I cried until I couldn't cry no more. I prayed to God to lift me out of this world of darkness. God, please help me, I prayed. But so many times I have asked him to help me, but took my will back. But this time I gave up. I couldn't fight the demon anymore. Once again, I asked for his help, and he lifted me up. I knew I could no longer live the life I was living. Tears rolled down my face like a running river. I was committed to Arlington County Drug Court, and my life started to change. It was a hard program. The urine 3 times a week, meetings, court, curfew, and so much more came with it. Sanctions, jail, clean time taken away. But I did it because I turned my will over to the care of God. I worked hard to be where I am today with the help of my peers, Ms. Catherine Woods, Evelyn Valentine, Megan Imes, Sean Butler, my children, and most of all, my God, which I gave him all the praise for lifting me from the darkness of hell into the world of light. This is my story, the light.
Thank you, Mary. And now Laurie will share a little of her journey and her poem called Touch from the Heart.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to share A Touch from the Heart by Laurie. This is something I wrote in retrospect to a time when, if I ever needed to read it again, I could be reminded for my future wellness and recovery that no matter where I was in my life, I am loved. It is funny how blind we can be in trying to see ourselves for ourselves. We are all loved just for who we are. So many times we can't see each other as clearly as others see us. How difficult it can be to even see the person we wake up to every day, the person whose shoes only we can fill. Stare in that mirror all day, and all we see back is a reflection of who we think we are seeing. Others can see into our eyes, seeing the window to our soul that our reflection can miss. We need to be shown who we are. This is done with and by the love we give and show to each other. What we see ourselves is a poor view of who we really are. The reflection shows the hair that isn't perfect enough, the wrinkles, the fading of our once perfectly tanned skin. Our friends and family can see us so much better than that. They see there the smile that lights up our face, the glitter and the sparkle in our eyes, the beauty of the years painted there forever as the person that they have always loved. We are each a unique work of art, created by the loving hands of God, our Heavenly Father. There is no one that can replace you or be a better you. You are so very unique, loved for being who God made you. You are the amazing person that your friends and family care and dearly love. Our souls are timeless. Time cannot touch the love that carries on long after we are gone. We need each other now. Never should we ever wait to love one another. We love each other because we are never ending, a ceaseless wave in an ocean of beauty created with each turn of the tide. Every day is a little bit of the sand on the shore gone, and where we see the path taken from the footsteps behind us, where we've walked together. Ahead of us, our love carries on the wind with a gentle spray of the ocean breeze. We are the sunset, a beautiful piece of sky that lights up our face, giving us a new color each day to enjoy with each other. Our souls are together, overlapping each other with the gentle touch of light, love that is from and of each other's spirits. Time cannot touch the love we keep of each other. We are so special to each other as friends, from within our families. It is there, always for all our loved ones, and for the ones soon to know. We will all know God by our love for each other. See who you are for me, please. Know that you are loved just as you are. If you want to know, then I'll tell you what I see in your eyes. A window to a creation that is beauty far expanding that of any other love. God created only one you. Your soul creates a light of its own, a candle flame that lights up the room when not hidden far from sight. Put yourself up high so that all can see the beauty of your soul. Never be afraid to be yourself. Believe in all you are and in all that you can be. Feel the hope inside, the grace in each day, the song written in your voice. You are you. Celebrate that and know how much everyone loves you. Thank God for making you for who you are. God created a love and light so bright. Shine on, sweetie. Shine on.
Thank you, Laurie. And last but certainly not least, Kathy will share some of her journey titled Out of Addiction into Recovery, My Journey.
Okay, so I'm just wondering why all these naked people are at Busboy and Poets tonight. Anyways, okay, so my name is Kathy, and I've struggled with mental health issues and substance abuse issues most of my life, probably about 30 years. Today, I stand before you and I live in the solution. I am now free from myself. American Medical Association defines addiction as a disease of the brain, which is chronic and progressive. That means to me, it's forever and it gets worse and worse and worse. I'm going to share my story with you, and that's a perfect example of how this disease works. It wants to kill you. So, I'm a woman in long-term recovery, and what that means for me is that I've not had the desire to put any mood-altering substances into my body for 11 months, 20 days, 6 hours, and 25 minutes. My sobriety... My sobriety date is October 5th, 2018. So let me go back a little in time for a moment to talk about the beginning of my using. Through years of suffering with depression and anxiety, I believe that was the catalyst for my drug use. I was always trying to feel normal. I grew up in a great household, wonderful parents, middle class. We went on vacations. I want to say, most of the teenagers where I was from here, in the county, tried marijuana, tried, alcohol. And I didn't do it every day, and it wasn't a problem until it became a problem. After my divorce, when I was 27, I started drinking really, really, really heavily. And that continued for years. Many trips to jail, 2 DUIs, thank God I didn't kill anybody. And I had this bright idea, shit, I can't drink anymore. I am like a bad alcoholic. So somebody introduced me to a harder drug, and I was always willing to try anything to feel normal. So I spent many years being addicted to cocaine, and then it was crack cocaine. And just to give you an example of how the disease progressed, I'm ashamed to say that for the last 6 years, my addiction ended with me shooting heroin and fentanyl into my body, something I said I would never do. The thought of even that word disgusted me, but that's where my disease took me, and I couldn't stop. I remember one of my worst moments, that was right about the time I decided to give my 5-year-old to her father until I could get my shit together. And what actually ended up happening is that I started using more to deal with the pain that I was feeling from not being around my child anymore. And I remember getting down on my hands and knees and praying to God to please just let me overdose or pull me out of this, show me what I need to do. And he did. And I checked into rehab, and I haven't looked back. I'm still in treatment. What I wanted to do in the spirit of this being a creative forum, I just want to read some words that come to mind when I think about what addiction felt like to me and what recovery feels like today, because there's a huge difference. So for me, in my addiction, jumping out of a car, going 45 miles an hour seemed like a bright idea. Walking into a stranger's house and yelling at everybody in the house to get out of my house, okay? And saving my own child who also suffers from addiction, my 25-year-old. I had to bring her back to life twice last year, and that didn't stop me from using. In addiction, your life is unmanageable, you're powerless, you can't stop, you're isolated, you start losing things. You start losing material things. But the most important thing you lose is your loss of morals and values. I did things in addiction that I would never in my mind think I would have done, or I wouldn't do today. I have my conscience back, and that's amazing. Addiction is selfish. It's putting a drug before everything else in your life, before food, before taking care of your children, before going to work. I couldn't do anything if I didn't have drugs. That is what my brain was telling me, that because I had used drugs for so long, my body stopped producing endorphins, and it had to have it. It was fight or flight. I needed that, like I need food and I need water to live. So now, to recovery, the good stuff. For me, recovery has been a reconnection with people. It's very isolating being in addiction. You feel very alone, even in a room full of people. Recovery has been hope for me when I had lost all hope. It's willingness, it's faith in a power greater than myself. It's living, not just existing. I have a job, I'm employable again. I'm not homeless. I'm honest now, I'm vulnerable, I'm accountable, and I'm starting to love myself. I'm still working on that part. But I have peace, where I used to mistake that with boredom. I'm okay now sitting for 2 hours in a room doing absolutely nothing, and I'm not bored. I'm at peace. So what I do to stay sober today is I go to Arlington County and make sure that my depression and anxiety is taken care of first and foremost, so I don't try to self-medicate. I see a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a therapist. I'm also part of a 12-step program. I go to meetings, I have a sponsor, I attend peer group recovery for substance abuse 1 day a week. No one has to live this way. Addiction is a we disease. It affects everybody. It affects your family, your mothers, your sisters, your cousins, your daughters, your children, your neighbors. Recovery is possible, and it's connecting with others and reaching out your hand for help, because it's out there. If you know someone, it's out there. And if I can get clean, I feel like anybody has a 50-50 chance. I am not a bad person trying to get good. I'm a sick person trying to get well. Thank you.
So that concludes the evening. Thank you so much for coming out, and thank you to all our presenters. I hope that you've been inspired this evening and that you've seen some great examples of recovery. On your way out, please stop at the desk and pick up an inspirational stone as a reminder of the courageous people that you heard this evening and the inspiration of hope for recovery. Thank you. I'll be right back. Yeah, you want to use this one? You know, there's one there. Yeah, just don't.